Hi, welcome to Your Checkup. We are the patient education podcast where we bring conversations from the doctor's office to your ears. On this podcast, we try to bring medicine closer to its patients. I'm Ed Dulesky, a family medicine doctor in the Philadelphia area.
And I'm Nicole Rufo. I'm a nurse.
And we are so excited you were able to join us here again today. So what are we going to talk about today, Nick?
Talking about Hantavirus today.
Sounds oddly similar to the carbonated beverage.
Fanta.
Yes.
Quite topical.
It's very topical. I even had someone come in concerned, and they, in fact, were the ones who made me aware. But you spend more time in these corners of the internet. Have you seen things on the internet about Hantavirus recently?
Honestly, not a lot. To be quite honest, everyone's afraid of another pandemic happening and another quarantine, which I genuinely would welcome only if the housing market crashes again and we can buy a house at like a 2% interest.
Okay, good point. Yeah. I was like, what is about to come out of her mouth?
It's like abort.
No,
just kidding. We're talking about GLP-1s again.
No, actually, we are talking about something a little different today. I realize it can be a little, if you aren't into GLP-1s, that it can be a little like, oh my gosh.
Maybe you should get into them.
We could get into them. So, today we're talking about something that we feel has suddenly started showing up in headlines and is like a fleeting thing I learned in med school, but it's come back and now it's relevant. Hantavirus. So Hanta, not to be confused with Fanta, the drink. Fanta? Anyway, we hope you're laughing at this point. I think our banter section you'll hear later is actually hilarious. So stay tuned for that too.
What we said already.
Me too. Weird day.
Surprised tomorrow.
We'll be surprised when we listen. So if you hear the words rare, deadly, virus, it's understandable to feel uneasy, especially after what the world has gone through over the last several years. Looking at you, COVID. But this episode is really about separating fear from facts. So what is the Hantavirus? Why are people suddenly talking about it? What happened on this cruise ship? Outbreak.
This is why we don't go on cruises.
Which is why we don't go on cruises. That got international attention. And importantly, look, ever since we saw the poop cruise, just that in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And importantly, is this something the average person should be panicking about? No, is the answer if you're going to stop listening here. Because one of the biggest jobs in medicine today is helping people understand risk correctly. So let's break it down a little bit. So why is Hantavirus back in the news? Or just in the news in the first place? The reason Hantavirus has suddenly become a conversation again is because of a very unusual outbreak connected to a cruise ship traveling through parts of South America. Multiple passengers became seriously ill, and unfortunately the number right now as of May 10th, 2026, I see is 3 people have unfortunately died from this. So we do, as much as we're like bringing lighthearted conversation to this, our hearts go out to them and their families. But what immediately caught the attention of infectious disease experts was that investigators believe this may involve something called the Andes strain of Hantavirus. Also, a lot of our information today is from like the WHO, the World Health Organization, and other reputable sources. But this matters because most of the Hantavirus spread is from rodents to humans, but the Andes strain can be a little different. It is currently the only known Hantavirus to show evidence of person-to-person spread. Now, immediately, I understand people hear that and think, oh no, here we go again. But this is where the context matters. World Health Organization experts and leading thought leaders are saying that this virus is nothing like COVID in terms of virility or how easily it spreads. And so that distinction is incredibly important. Take a deep breath. It's not happening again. So what is the Hantavirus? The Hantavirus is actually a family of viruses carried primarily by rodents. Different parts of the world have different strains. In the Americas, the major illness we worry about is something called Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS. No one's going to be putting that into an acronym. That's the word. Thanks for bearing with us today, guys. And the scary part about Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome is that patients can go from feeling like they have a bad viral illness to becoming critically ill very quickly. Early symptoms can look deceptively common: fever, fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, and nausea. And honestly, early on, it can resemble influenza. But then some patients develop severe lung involvement, and that's when people can develop shortness of breath, low oxygen levels, fluid accumulation in the lungs, and respiratory failure.
The Sixers are playing Turney and Benner in Philly.
Oh, they're getting walloped right now, unfortunately. That game is almost over. Yeah, it's sad. Unfortunately, like the Sixers getting crushed by the Knicks, mortality rates can also be high. And that's one reason public health officials take even a small outbreak seriously. So how do people usually get this? This is the reassuring part for most listeners out there. The overwhelming majority of hantavirus infections happen from rodent exposure. Most commonly, it's from inhaling tiny particles from rodent urine or droppings. Cleaning dusty, enclosed spaces, we're going to explore this a little bit more. Cabins, sheds, barns, campsites, and abandoned buildings. So this is why you'll often hear about cases involving hikers, campers, people opening seasonal cabins, and rural work environments. And interestingly, one of the biggest risks is actually sweeping or vacuuming rodent droppings, because this simple act can aerosolize viral particles into the air. That's why the CDC guidance recommends ventilating enclosed spaces first, wearing gloves, using disinfectant, and avoiding dry sweeping, actually. And honestly, this becomes a really good reminder that public health often comes down to very practical things. Not panic, not conspiracy theories, but sometimes it's literally open the windows before cleaning the shed. So do that next time you're thinking about cleaning your shed. So why is this outbreak a little different? What makes the cruise ship outbreak unusual specifically? It's the specific concern about the Andes strain. Historically, most hantaviruses do not spread person to person. The Andes strain appears capable of it under certain circumstances, but there's another really important detail here. Even when human-to-human transmission occurs, it appears to require really close, really prolonged contact. And we're not talking about something spreading rapidly through casual interaction. So this is not an instance of walking past someone or sitting across from someone at a restaurant or touching a doorknob briefly. And health organizations have repeatedly emphasized that, including the World Health Organization, the CDC, and European health agencies are all monitoring the situation carefully, but they are clearly not describing this as a pandemic level threat. And honestly, this is where modern medicine sometimes struggles publicly, because there's a tendency online for people to jump from experts are monitoring something to this is the next global catastrophe. And those are not the same thing. Monitoring is not the same as the panic. So why do health organizations pay attention anyway if this is a pretty low-lying thing? It's because when public risk appears low, public health officials tend to still respond aggressively. And I actually think this is something patients deserve and listeners deserve to understand better. A good public health response often looks overly cautious early on, and that's intentional. You investigate aggressively because it's easier to scale down concern later than it is to catch up after uncontrolled spread. I think we've all, if you've been around for the last 7 years, have experienced that. So right now, health organizations are monitoring contacts, tracking symptoms, studying the viral strain, watching for additional clusters, and coordinating internationally. So, we've talked a lot about this, so we're going to zoom out a little bit. And I think one of the interesting parts about this story is a little psychological. Because after COVID, people process infectious disease headlines a little differently. Some people immediately panic. Other people immediately dismiss everything. And both reactions can become unhealthy. One of the healthiest things we can do as people who consume information in this world and as communities is to learn how to sit in the middle. Informed, calm, appropriately cautious, and evidence-based. Because medicine is rarely either of those sides unilaterally. Usually the answer lives somewhere in between, and this outbreak specifically is a good example of that. So we wanted to explore that today. So what should the average listener take away from all of this? And then as you're getting ready to gear up to listen to our funny banter section, Hantavirus, first, remains very rare. So this is good news. Second, most infections come from rodent exposure, not casual human contact. Third, if you're cleaning cabins, sheds, attics, barns, garages, or dusty enclosed spaces, ventilate first. Wear gloves. Perhaps use some disinfectant and avoid sweeping dry droppings. And fourth, pay attention to reliable sources like the World Health Organization, other public health agencies, or maybe your own physician. Not random viral posts designed to scare people. And finally, this is a reminder that infectious diseases never completely disappear from human life. They affect people every day. And medicine is constantly watching, learning, adapting, and responding. And honestly, that ongoing work is one of the reasons modern public health saves so many lives quietly in the background every year. So today we talked about what hantavirus is, why it's suddenly in headlines, what makes the Andes strain a little unique, and why experts are monitoring the current outbreak, and why this is not another COVID situation, thankfully. If you found this episode helpful, you can share it with someone who may have seen these headlines and felt uncertain or anxious about what they meant. We're happy to jump in there. And here you go for the next part of your episode. Any thoughts, Nikki, or anything there?
Nope.
No thoughts? I think it was a good structured approach to all of this. Ooh, excuse me. A good structured approach. I think it's a good time to tuck this episode in there. I feel like people are going to be talking about this a little bit more this week, maybe, than the late parts of last week. I think hopefully this was helpful for you today. And now for the banter. Look, busy weekend. I don't want to explain too much why I am extremely tired at the exact moment of this recording, but
he food maxed today, basically.
I did. And if happy day after Mother's Day to all the mothers who celebrate out there in the world who are listening, happy day after Mother's Day. I hope you got to enjoy a lovely day of special attention. We are looking far ahead now. Most immediately, we are looking forward to Alex's graduation from medical school. So we're looking forward to that. We have a little bit of a tale that we can tell after the situation's there, but we can't explain it now because it'll give away too much.
I think it's been resolved.
You think it's been resolved? Mm-hmm. Did they get in touch with you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad they moved so fast.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that it all works out.
Me too.
We're speaking in code here because he might listen and we don't want him to.
He better listen. If he's a good friend, he would.
Look, I spent some time with friends yesterday and they were like, I listened to some of them. No, Karthik listens every week. And his name wasn't Phil. Problematic Phil.
Phil.
We'll keep his name Phil for this. Problematic, gotta say. But yeah. And we are hopeful. We are very hopeful for a warm Memorial Day. I want it warm.
Yeah, want some warmth to the globe.
Can we warm up that globe a little bit on that weekend?
I know. Oh my God, global warming. Why is it 60 degrees at the end of May? You know? It's going to get hot next week, though, and into the following week. I love that.
For anyone listening, of course, we're not global warming deniers, and we also know how it works.
Yeah.
Of course. But we're just...
all jokes and lols.
S's and G's. We really we want a warm one.
We want a warm weekend at the beach.
There was a time growing up when I was tooting on the saxophone, and for like the Jackson Memorial, I don't know why I said Jackson, Memorial Day parade.
Ugh,
and
a parade.
It was hot. It was hot back in the day.
I realize we've already gotten married and said our vows and all that crap, but we need to workshop in that we are not going to be parade people, because I can't.
We've already had a nice divide in the line. Basically, there were a couple hot Memorial Days, and I have not experienced a hot Memorial Day with you. And parade people, We
No, and like if we ever have fetuses who want to toot 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 on the saxophone, like great. Go with your friends.
We'll
pick you up after when we're on our way home from the beach.
You're literally a parade person.
I'm literally
You went to the illustrious Brigantine St. Patrick's Day parade, and you had a blast. So I don't want to hear that you're not a parade person because you were there having a grand old time.
I was there for you because that's your official start of summer, a St. Patrick's Day weekend in Brigantine.
So be it. But which it is, by the way, guys. And if you would like to hear a Brigantine local podcast from us, I had this idea. I was like, what if we do like a limited 12-week, like every year? I don't know where
I think we should do it.
Where we would get the information
from. We could
from.
put it out on like the Brigantine Facebook page.
There is
I think my mom's an active member. Oh my God, she can tell the Elks.
She could.
You put a flyer up.
I actually think it would be a good time because we have the setup already, and like we yap.
That means we would have to like go out and see the happenings of the town, and we like to like once we're home from the beach and like have showered, eaten dinner, hanging out outside. Like we want to be
horizontal.
I
know. Yeah, we can't exit.
Rinse and repeat.
Which like ultimately it's like going to be like, oh, there's local disc jockey Jack Fahey who's playing at at local ice creamery, Richmond's, or maybe those three guys with the saxophones who are like there. There's a whole room for opportunity there. I did have a standoff with the editors of the Brigantine Times a couple years ago after I got into
because they had a chiropractor talking about the dangers of vaccines.
They definitely did. And I got heated.
It's valid.
Thank you. I was valid. I got heated and sent a lot of long, nasty emails.
Yeah. Like, who needs vaccines when you can rub some salve on it and
that was
hope the measles doesn't get you.
Yeah, that was the elk of what this guy was saying. And I was fuming. And I was like, there are average people listening to this. And like at the time we were, of course, doing this podcast. And I was like, I wrote them and I was like, I will do a weekly installment for you.
Yeah, he was going to have a weekly health article in the Brigantine Times.
So Eddie
emailed the editor guy, and then he was in cahoots with the chiropractor guy who just went by like Dr. So-and-so, which is fine, but like you don't put your like post-nominal letter so people think that this is like a medical doctor.
Correct.
Speaking on things that chiropractors are not trained or educated on formally, you know? So that's how that was. But then they were like going back and forth in email. Like Eddie emailed the editor guy. I guess the editor guy forwarded it to the chiropractor and they were talking smack, like, oh, I don't know. This guy's probably just a med student. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then when the editor like replied to Eddie, he put him on the thread so he could see all of that. And I was like, oh, okay. So the blind leading the blind here.
Yeah, they were buddies.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So we're going to come up with, what's another alliterative word that we could have? The Brigantine Gazette.
That's not alliterative.
It's definitely not alliterative. Like I said, guys, it's been a long weekend.
The Brigantine.
Bazaar.
There is the bazaar.
There already is the bazaar.
Brigantine. Like a word for gossip that starts with a B. Blab.
The Brigantine Blab. This would be really funny. I think the opportunity for it is we got these two like remote microphones, and if we like hooked ourselves up.
Oh, stop it.
Funny sound. If we hooked ourselves up while we were driving down.
We can do like boots on the ground journalism.
That's basically what I was doing yesterday.
What is a word? Wait.
Boots on the ground journalism. Us with zero journalistic training.
What is a synonym for gossip that starts with the letter B? Us doing journalism is akin to a chiropractor talking about vaccines, having a nurse and a doctor do journalism.
Like we go up to the teenagers at Richmond's and we're like, hey, so what's new in ice cream these days? Or
it's like the 16-year-old kid's like, I don't know, man. What do you want?
Or there's the guy with the Speedo who like walked around.
Brigantine banter.
Oh my God. Oh, this
Brigantine BITCing, Brigantine backtalk, Brigantine babble, Brigantine buzz.
The Brigantine banter. Oh my God, this could be it. A local time-limited Brigantine podcast. I was thinking about this. I was like, we could have a blast. Like, oh, the wind this week is it's coming from the southwest. The flies are bad.
Yeah, we can talk about that big black boat that drives by that is a little ominous looking and looks like a pirate ship. And then maybe someone can tune in and tell us who owns it.
I think it would be
someone
a great
said
community building thing.
The owner of like one of the casinos or something. I don't know how accurate that is. That's just what I heard.
We could have a lot of fun with this, actually. We could probably pull a little bit from the Brigantine Times if we give them credit and say like, hey, like we saw this thing here, but I don't know. We could flirt with this idea. This is actually kind of funny. Or we can
have our close personal friends, our actual close personal friends, Barb and Walt on. They always know the happenings of Brigantine.
They do. This would really have to be a
like when we were at the parade. Everyone knew Walt.
I know.
And like the actual mayor was like walking in the parade, but I think
and knew him.
Walt was actually the mayor.
Oh, yeah. We would have to come up with like a good solution, which like the mics help a lot, but we'd have to come up with like a where to store that information when we like walk around and do that.
They can't be on our phones.
I don't know the solution yet for like audio. Could it be a voice memo on the phone? Maybe. That would be really funny. Time will tell. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Or we get the girls the ladies who walk 30,000 steps a day.
Oh yeah. We could do like a walk and talk with them.
Yeah. Like interview local heroes of Brigantine. I did like your idea, which like if we say out loud here, I hope it doesn't get stolen, of like us doing blood pressure measurements and like screening at the bazaar, which would require getting up early enough to make it to the bazaar. But
I'm up early. You like to snooze. Oh my God. Because my mom put blackout curtains in our room, which are wonderful. However, Eddie just reverts back to his teenage days and sleeps.
It's actually crazy.
Like I had to go in and check on him. I'm like, is he still breathing?
It is.
Any sign of life in there?
I could just go for it forever. Wow. No, super fun. Well, thank you for coming back to another episode of Your Checkup. Hopefully, you were able to learn something for yourself, a loved one, or
a neighbor. You
can find us on Threads. You can send us a voice fan mail. You still can do that. And we're looking for it. Anyone at all. Bueller. Anyway, most importantly, stay healthy, my friends. Until next time, I'm Ed Dulesky.
I'm Nicole Rufo.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
This information may provide a brief overview of diagnosis, treatment, and medications. It's not exhaustive and is a tool to help you understand potential options about your health. It doesn't cover all details about conditions, treatments, or medications for a specific person. This is not medical advice or an attempt to substitute medical advice. You should contact a healthcare provider for personalized guidance based on your unique circumstances. We explicitly disclaim any liability relating to the information given or its use. This content doesn't endorse any treatments or medications for a specific patient. Always talk to your healthcare provider for complete information tailored to you. In short, I'm not your doctor.
I am not your nurse.
And make sure you go get your own checkup with your own personal doctor.